Good evening, you're watching Just the News. I'm Amita Balachandra. Here's our top story for the day. The Supreme Court today has put the sedition law on hold until the government reviews it. Now, the court has directed that all pending trials, appeals and proceedings with respect to the charge framed under Section 124A, which deals with the offence of sedition, be kept in abeyance. Now, no new FIRs will be filed for sedition, and those jailed for sedition can approach courts for bail. It said that if any fresh case is registered under Section 124A, affected parties are at liberty to approach concerned courts for relief as well. Now, the government on Monday had announced its decision to review the sedition law, but had also argued today that it should not be paused while it does so. Now, senior lawyer Kapil Sibal, representing the petitioners, said that there were over 800 cases of sedition across India, and 13,000 people were in jail. Now, Section 124A defines sedition as, and I quote, "Whoever by words, either spoken or written, or by signs, or by visible representation or otherwise, brings or attempts to bring into hatred or contempt, or excites or attempts to excite disaffection towards the government established by law, shall be punished with imprisonment for life, to which fine may be added." End quote. Now, according to the NCRB, a total of 356 cases of sedition, as defined under Section 124A of the IPC, were registered and 548 persons arrested between 2015 and 2020. Meanwhile, there are reactions that's come in to this story. Kiren Rijiju, for instance, has reacted and has said that while he respected the court and its independence, there is, and he said, and I quote, "a Lakshman Rekha that cannot be crossed." Now, in an interview with ANI, he said, and I quote, "We've made our positions very clear and have informed the court about the intention of our Prime Minister. Beyond that, if anything happens, then I don't know. But one thing I must say is that we respect the court and the independence of the court. But there's a Lakshman Rekha that must be respected by all organs of the state in letter and spirit. We have to ensure that we respect the provisions of the Indian Constitution as well as existing laws." End quote. Moving on from the story now to updates on Cyclone Asani. Now, cyclonic storm Asani weakened into a cyclonic storm in Bay of Bengal today and currently lays about 30 kilometers east-southeast of Andhra Pradesh and 50 kilometers southwest of Narsapur. Now, IMD's latest update has said that the cyclonic storm is likely to weaken into a deep depression by tonight and into a depression by May 12th morning. Now, several parts of Odisha and West Bengal are bracing for heavy rain. Meanwhile, Andhra administration has asked people not to venture into the sea. Most flights have also been cancelled at the Vizag International Airport. Moving away from the story now to the state of Karnataka. After a meeting with Union Home Minister Amit Shah in Delhi, Karnataka Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai has said that the BJP High Command will take a decision on the changes to be made in the Karnataka cabinet in the next 3 to 4 days after assessing the political situation in the case. Now, in the last couple of weeks, there's been speculation of this as well. Mr. Bommai has said, and I quote, "Anything can happen at any time. As a political party, decisions will have to be taken on the basis of the overall political situation. On this basis, we have provided information on the overall political situation. The next 1 week will be politically crucial." End quote. Also from the state of Karnataka, IPS officer P. Ravindranath has resigned on Tuesday, alleging that he was prematurely transferred as he had taken legal action against people involved in the fake caste certificate issue. Now, Mr. Ravindranath, who was the DGP of the Directorate of Civil Rights Enforcement, was recently transferred to the training wing of the Karnataka Police. Now, this is the 4th time that the officer is tendering his resignation in his entire career. Karnataka Home Minister, speaking to ANI, has said, and I quote, "If at all any officer was under any pressure, he must have given the complaint to a higher officer and inquiry. Resignation is not the solution. I didn't even know about his resignation." End quote. Also, amid the Asan row, the Karnataka government has issued new guidelines on Tuesday and banned the use of loudspeakers from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the state. However, it said that it can be used in enclosed premises like auditoriums, conference halls, community halls, and banquet halls as well. Now, the circular also added, and I quote, those who do not obtain permission should voluntarily remove loudspeakers or public address system and sound producing instruments, or else the same shall be removed by the designated authority within 15 days of the deadline given. The state government hereby reiterates that the government order under the Noise Pollution Rules 2000 are to be strictly followed and enforced by the regulation of noise pollution from loudspeakers or public address system and sound producing instruments. End quote. Meanwhile, in Rajasthan, there's tension again in Rajasthan's Bhilwara, this time after a 22-year-old man was murdered on Tuesday night after he allegedly went to resolve a dispute involving his younger brother. Now, internet is suspended till tomorrow. The murder took place in the jurisdiction of the Kotwali police station. 3 people have been arrested so far. The police, of course, are on alert in Rajasthan considering there have been communal clashes earlier in Karoli, Alwar and Jodhpur as well. Meanwhile, extremely important news coming in. The Delhi High Court today passed a split verdict on the criminalisation of marital rape. Now, Justice Rajiv Shakter has held that the exemption to the husband from the offence of marital rape is unconstitutional. Exception 2 of 375-376B IPC was therefore struck down by him as violative of Article 14. Now, Justice Shakder has held that a husband having intercourse with his wife without consent are violative of Article 14 and are struck down. In the meantime, Justice Hari Shankar has said that he does not agree with Justice Shakder's decision to strike down the immunity to the husband. Justice Hari Shankar has held that exception 2 to section 375 does not violate constitution and that the exception is based on an intelligible differentia. Now, the petitioners had contended earlier that the exception to marital rape is unconstitutional and should be struck down. They said that it violated a married woman's right to equality, the right to life with dignity, and the right to self-expression, all of which were guaranteed under the Constitution. Now, both the judges, however, have granted certificate to appeal to the Supreme Court. In fact, senior advocate Karuna Nandi, who appeared for 2 of the petitioners, has told NDTV that they will approach the Supreme Court now. Also in the news, several employees from various departments of the state government of Gujarat took to Gandhinagar streets on Monday in a day-long protest. Now, they had a couple of demands that they said were unmet. For instance, reintroduction of the old pension system, abolition of fixed pay arrangement, and implementation of 7th Pay Commission recommendations. Now, they also demanded the implementation of old pension scheme instead of the new pension scheme and called for the abolition of a fixed wage policy for various cadres of the administration as well. Moving on, according to a survey by the National Family Health Survey, 89% of children between the formative ages of 6 to 23 months do not receive a minimum acceptable diet. Now, however, this is marginally better than the 90.4% recorded in the National Family Health Survey 4. Now, the best performing state in this regard was Meghalaya, and the worst were UP and Gujarat. Also, veteran Congress leader and former Union Minister Pandit Sukh Ram passed away at the age of 94 in Delhi this morning. He had suffered a brain stroke last week. Now, he served as a Union Minister of Communications and Information Technology from 1993 to 96. And news now coming in from across the globe. New Zealand Prime Minister has said that the country will fully reopen its international borders from the 31st of July after a pandemic lockout for about 2 years. Now, the Prime Minister said that the reopening of the borders would help relieve urgent skills shortages, revive tourism, and put immigration on a more secure footing. Meanwhile, in Sri Lanka, situation is getting more tense by the day. A day after deadly violence and rioting, Sri Lankan authorities have issued shoot-on-sight orders yesterday to control the unrest in the country. Now, the Defence Ministry has said that troops have been ordered to shoot on sight anyone looting public property or causing harm to life. Now, in the meantime, Sri Lanka's central bank governor said that he would resign if political parties do not ensure stability in the next 2 weeks. 8 people have died in the violence, post which the government imposed a nationwide curfew. Meanwhile, it's day 77 of Ukraine crisis. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has signed a security declaration with Sweden, pledging UK support if its military comes under attack. Now, UK PM is visiting both Sweden and Finland as they're considering joining the NATO defense alliance. Now, Russia has warned that there will be consequences if they join NATO. Both the countries also share their borders with Russia. And one piece of good news before we wrap things up here on this bulletin. This comes in from India. Indian architect Balkrishna Doshi has been awarded the Royal Gold Medal 2022, one of the world's highest for architecture. Now, 94-year-old Doshi has also been awarded with the Pritzker Architecture Prize, often referred to as the Nobel Prize of Architecture. Now, some of his noteworthy designs include IIM Bangalore, IIM Udaipur, NIFT Delhi, among others. That brings us to the end of this bulletin. Thank you so much for watching.